What's up guys? It's been a very long time since I posted here, so I wanted to pop in and say hello and officially introduce myself on my channel. My name is Lynn. I am a designer and illustrator. I started drawing on Procreate as a hobby, and I just realized that people were liking my drawings and they wanted to know how to draw them themselves. So I created this channel because I want to help people have the confidence that they can draw some beautiful illustrations on Procreate even if they're beginners. If any of this sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram so you can stay up to date with all of my videos. Today I'm showing you how to create this little dreamy lollipop illustration. I'll be going through some important Procreate features like alpha lock, clipping mask. I'll be showing you how I go about arranging my layers and grouping them so you can have a more efficient workflow. If you decide to recreate this illustration, please tag me on your Instagram posts or stories because I really enjoy seeing all of your work. As usual, I'm going to start by showing you the list of brushes that I will be using today, and enjoy! So as usual, I use the monoline brush to create most of my shapes and outlines. For shading, you can use your desired soft textured brush. I'm using the Diagonal brush by Jungle of Colors. Today I'm also using the Mercury and the Technical pen from the inking selection, as well as the soft brush and the medium hard brush from the airbrushing set. And finally, you'll need the light pen from the Luminance set just to draw the stars at the end. I've added a link to the textured brush I'm using in the description, but you can always use any similar brush that's already in your Procreate set, such as the 2B compressed brush from the charcoal set, or the medium nozzle brush from the spray paint set. You can also find the link to my custom color palette in the description, as well as a simple sketch to help you guys get started. You can simply download the images and insert them into your Procreate canvas. Now I just want to take a few seconds to tell you guys about an awesome platform called Domestika. If you're looking to learn some specific skills on Procreate like calligraphy, animation, portrait illustration, and more, this is the place to go. Check out the link in the description below, and you can use my discount promo code TheLazyIllustrator-10 to get 10% off any course you like. Now let's get started with the tutorial. Begin by tapping on the background layer and changing the color to a pastel blue. Now on an empty layer, let's pick white and select the monoline brush with around 10% thickness. Draw a circle in the middle of your screen and hold your pencil and finger at the end to perfect it. Now let's duplicate this layer and tap on the cursor icon. Make sure Uniform option is selected and slightly decrease the size like this. Next, select the bigger circle and your monoline brush as an eraser. Adjust thickness to around 54% and erase 2 holes diagonally to shape the lollipop. Now go back to your monoline brush and let's create the lollipop edges. Make sure you have the same brush thickness you used to draw the circle. Now duplicate the smaller circle and let's merge one of them with the big circle by pinching both layers together to create this shape on one layer. Just tapping with 2 fingers to undo, and now I'm filling out the shape outline. Tap here to decrease shape opacity to around 56%. Now select the layer on top and fill out the circle in white. Now let's create the water inside the lollipop. Select your monoline brush as an eraser and increase thickness to around 60%. I have tilted my screen to 45 degrees to the left and I'm erasing the curve on top like this. Hold your pencil at the end and move it to modify the curve to your liking, then continue to erase the top part. Next, duplicate this layer and hide the one below. We're going to create the water surface. With the same eraser brush, erase a curve like this and fix the corners so that it's slightly rounded. Now we want to remove this large bottom part, so I'm just going to erase a bit here to increase the gap. Then tap on Selection, Freehand option, and select the whole part like this. You can draw the selection or tap to create it. Now scrub the screen with 3 fingers to erase the selection that you just made. Now let's turn this layer back on and decrease opacity of the water surface and the layer below it. Back to the water surface layer, I'm going to tap on the thumbnail and hit select. With this selection on, tap on the layer below it and scrub the screen with 3 fingers to delete the selection. As you can see, we now have these 2 shapes separated. Moving on, let's draw the lollipop stick. Create a new layer and place it on the very bottom. Select your monoline brush in around 75% thickness. And now draw a slanted line like this and hold your pencil at the end. I'm just gonna erase this extra part here. Now create a new layer on top of the lollipop outline and let's organize those layers. Select a layer and slide another to the right to select both. Then tap on Group. Tap on the group thumbnail and let's rename it. You can now use your pencil to scratch text and write a new name. I should have named this water, but for some reason I went with glass. Close the group and let's draw some elements on the new layer. Select a light pink color for our first cloud. And the monoline brush. To make things a bit easier, tap on the water layer's thumbnail and select the shape. This way you'll only draw within the constructs of the selection that you just made. Now make sure you're back on the empty layer here and let's begin. I'm drawing my clouds one curve at a time and holding my pencil at the end of each one to avoid any squiggles. Make sure you alternate curve sizes to make the cloud look fluffier. Now because we have the selection that we did earlier, you can just fill in the shape like this as long as it reaches the selection edge here. For the second cloud, create a new layer below the first one and select a darker pink. Make sure you start from the selection edge here and let's draw another cloud. Finish at the edge and fill out your shape. Once again, create a new layer below both clouds. Select an even darker pink and let's draw our final cloud. Don't forget to start at the edge and alternate curve sizes for a fluffier cloud. Finish your shape and fill it out. Now, to draw the crescent moon, create a new layer right below the first cloud you drew. With the same monoline brush in white, start by drawing half a circle like this. You can hold your pencil and finger at the end to make a perfect ellipse. You can also tap on Edit Shape to modify the edges, then tap anywhere else when you're done. Next, close your moon shape with a similar curve and fill it out. Finally, just tap on this icon to turn off the selection we did earlier. Okay, now let's move on to the plants. Create a new layer below the moon, select a medium blue, and decrease the monoline brush thickness to around 11%. Draw a cute squiggly leaf like this, and make sure you close the shape, then fill it out. Create a new layer for the second leaf, and select a lighter blue shade. With the monoline brush, draw another shape here. Close it and fill it out. And let's do this one more time. Create a new layer on top of the last one, pick an even lighter blue shade, and let's draw the final larger leaf. Make sure your shape is closed and fill it out. Now I'm going to draw some stems on the leaves. Create a new layer on top of the first leaf, tap on its thumbnail, and hit Clipping Mask. This will allow you to draw only within the construct of the leaf below. Hold your finger on the screen to select the leaf color, and let's pick a slightly darker shade. Go to Brushes and pick the Mercury brush from the inking selection. Set thickness to 1 or 2% and let's draw some horizontal squiggles like this. Now I'm going to repeat the same step. Create a new layer on top of the second leaf, tap on Clipping Mask, eyedrop the leaf color, and select a slightly darker shade. I'm going to draw the stems a bit differently for each leaf to change things around. You can try to experiment with alternating pencil pressure. Here I'm pressing harder on the screen from the beginning of each line and then lightening my touch at the end. Finally, let's do the same for the big leaf. Create a new layer on top of it and tap on Clipping Mask. Select the color and now pick a slightly lighter shade this time. Moving on, let's draw a couple more plants on both sides of the moon. But first, let's group all of the previous leaves in one group. Select multiple layers by sliding your pencil to the right on each of them, and then tap on Group. Let's name this one Plants. Create a new layer on top of this group. Pick a medium blue shade and select the technical pen from the inking brush set. Set the thickness to around 16% and let's get started. I'm drawing a very fluid plant shape and playing around with my pencil pressure. Feel free to create your own shape or just follow mine. I like keeping the bottom of each stem thick and then thinning it out at the tip. Now I'm just going in with my eraser to remove this little extra part here. Let's create a similar plant on the right side. Create a new layer and let's place this one below the plants group. I'm using the same shade as before and drawing a variation of the previous plant. Now let's move on to the shading. Starting with the clouds, alpha lock the 3 layers by swiping with 2 fingers to the right. Alpha lock will allow you to shade only within the constructs of the shape you have. Let's start with the top cloud. First, hold your finger on the cloud to select the color, and let's pick a slightly darker shade. Now pick your soft textured brush, go for medium thickness and let's darken the bottom. Now I'm darkening the shade a little bit more and going back in. Next, pick a light pink, decrease brush thickness, and let's highlight the top edges. Finally, we're going to give it some strong highlights in white. This will give a nice lighting effect since the moon is the light source right behind it. Now we're going to repeat the same process for the two other clouds. Pick the second cloud layer, go for a darker shade, and let's darken the bottom. Now for the highlights, start with a light pink and then give it some strong white edges like before. Always make sure you're blending your colors well and avoid strong shading. Now let's do this again for the final cloud. Next, let's give the moon a nice glow effect. Duplicate the moon layer, select the bottom layer, go to Adjustments, Gaussian Blur, and slide your pencil on the screen to increase blur to about 6% only. Now duplicate the blurred layer and there you go. Let's just group these three layers together and call it moon. Moving on, let's shade the plants. Open the plants group and alpha lock all the layers. This is going to be similar to the cloud shading process. Select the color, pick a darker shade, and let's darken the bottom and left side. Try to remember that the moon is your light source, so shapes should be lighter on the side closer to the moon. With that being said, let's lighten the right side here and then give it a highlight in white. Next, we're going to do the same on the squiggles layer. For the second leaf, I'm going to darken the edges and lighten the mid part. Then give it some highlight on the far right edge here. For the stem, I'm just lightening the bottom and darkening the top part. Now, for the final leaf, let's darken the top part. I'm just gonna hide the water layer temporarily for better visibility. Now lighten the part closer to the moon. Same for the stem, highlight the bottom part and slightly darken the top. Now I'm just going back to the big leaf to give it a strong highlight on the right side. Finally, select the pink shade from the clouds and let's give all of the leaves a little pink hue. Next, let's shade the two plants we drew last. Alpha lock both layers and let's start with the left side. So I'm going to lighten the part on the right side and darken the parts on the left side. Finally, give it some strong highlights with a very light blue color or white. For the second plant, shading will be the other way around. Lighten the left side and darken the right side. And again, finish with some strong highlights. Now let's move on to the water layers. Pick the water surface layer and let's fix how the leaves are poking out of the water. Tap on the plant's thumbnail. Tap on Select. Now with your selection, go to the water surface layer and use your textured brush as an eraser. Let's softly erase where the plant goes above the water. Tap on the selection icon when you're done to turn it off. Let's repeat the same step with a larger leaf. Tap on Select. go to the water surface layer and softly erase with your textured brush. Now turn off selection and let's work on our main water layer. Turn it on and increase opacity. From the airbrushing set, select the soft brush as an eraser. And let's empty out the middle and softly move outwards. Now select your textured brush as an eraser and soften the edges a little bit. You can play around with this layer's opacity to get a nice opaque effect. Moving on, I'm going to the bottom outline layer and maximizing opacity. Duplicate this layer, select the bottom one, and let's fill it in with white. Then decrease opacity to around 30%. Now alpha lock the top layer and let's do some shading. Pick the color of your background and go in with your soft textured brush. I'm just shading some edges here to give it a nice effect. Next, let's create a layer on the very top above the water surface and let's give the lollipop a glass reflection. Select the medium hard brush and draw a circle in white like this. Make sure you're using a good amount of pressure and hold your pencil and finger at the end. I'm just moving the shape to center it on the lollipop. And now go in with your soft brush as an eraser. Lower thickness. And let's create 3 main parts like this. Now softly shade each part starting from the inside. Try to leave the outside edges sharp for a nicer glow effect. We're almost there, you guys. Let's draw the stars. Create a new layer on top of the cloud here. Select the light pen in white and dot your stars. Try to place them randomly and play around with the pencil pressure to change the star size. Now select your monoline brush, go on a new layer, and let's draw a few big stars. Start with a cross like this, and then connect the corners with small curves. Color in the star, and let's make it glow the same way we did with the moon. Duplicate the layer, select the bottom one, go to Adjustments, Gaussian Blur, and slide your pencil to around 3%. Duplicate the glow layer, and let's group them all together. You can select the group to change size and move it around. Now duplicate the group, and let's turn the group into one layer by tapping on the thumbnail and hitting flatten. This will make it easier to keep duplicating later on. Let's repeat the step a few times and make sure you change size each time so they don't all look the same. Now for the final step, let's shade the lollipop stick. But first, I'm going to group all the stars together. Organizing really helps you come back to the file and easily find layers you're looking for. Now let's alpha lock the stick. Pick a light gray color and go in with your textured brush. I'm going to darken the bottom and the left side and then highlight the right side in white. You can also give the top side some pink hue like we did with the leaves. Finally, let's draw the hole at the bottom here. Erase the bottom with your monoline brush. Create a new layer under the stick. Pick a dark blue shade. And draw an oval shape here. Fill it in, and you can even darken it a little bit with your textured brush to show some depth. And we're done. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I really hope you followed through and learned something new about Procreate today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and maybe check out my previous tutorials. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to upload your results and tag me on Instagram. See you guys next time.